Is my house protected? This is probably one of the most common questions that we get asked. In this video, I'm going to take you through the 4-step process that we use to determine whether a house is protected or not. So stay tuned. Is my house protected? People normally ask this for one of two reasons. Firstly, because they want to remove it to make way for a brand new dwelling. Secondly, because they want to remove it to make way for higher uses, units, subdivisions, those kinds of things. So like I said, in this video, we're going to take you through the 4 steps that I use to work out whether a house is protected. Firstly, you're going to need one of these babies, Brisbane City Council's Interactive Mapping Report. If you don't know how to get one of these, go back and watch the previous video that we did on this exact topic. Once you've got this report, what you're looking for is this heading here called Overlays. The first thing you need to look for, being step number 1 in the process, is what's called the Heritage Overlay. Heritage Overlay. Now, if you see this overlay, don't panic. It's not always a bad thing. There's 3 separate subcategories within this overlay. The first one is local, second one state, and third one is adjoining, heritage adjoining. As the name suggests, if you're in the heritage adjoining subcategory, it just simply means next door to a cute place, a heritage place. In this instance, when we're talking demolitions, that heritage adjoining overlay subcategory has absolutely no impact. You can completely ignore it. If, however, you're in the local or state subcategory within the heritage overlay, which as I said you get from that property report, that means it's protected. There's no point in proceeding with any of the further steps. The house is protected, it has to stay. So now we come to step number 2, which is the pre-1911 overlay. Again, you find this information within that property report. As the name suggests, the pre-1911 overlay protects houses that were built in or before 1911. If you see that overlay, instant protection, instant no-go. No point going any further, you've got your answer. Then we come to step number 3. We're moving through these pretty quickly. I'm going to be lazy here and I'm going to shorten it. Next one is the Traditional Building Character Overlay, TBC overlay for short. Not to be confused with the Dwelling House Character Overlay. They both have the word character in it. People see that Dwelling House Character one, they freak out all the time. What you're looking for is TBC, Traditional Building Character Overlay. Now, subcategories, if it's local or state subcategory there, instant protection. If it's that overlay, it's instant protection. This one doesn't necessarily mean instant protection. What we need to do is step number 4 to work out whether it actually has any impact. Step number 4 is to check out whether it's pre-1947, built in or before 1946. Now, you will hear a lot of people throw the term pre-1946 out there. Technically, it's not correct. That house is protected if it was built at any point up to December 31st, 1946. So if you want to be technically correct, the wording you should use is pre-1947 or built in or before 1946. Now, I can hear you guys thinking out loud already, how the heck am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to know when the house was built? Well, I'm going to give you some tips now. Firstly, if you go back to that interactive mapping program I was talking about earlier, you can bring up a little thing called the 1946 aerial photo. It is amazing. You can spend way too much time in that thing, just trawling around Brisbane, seeing what it used to look like. It's really interesting. Anyway, what you need to do is bring up the 1946 aerial photo and the current or the most recent aerial photo, which is about 2009. So not too recent, but you get it. What you do is bring up those 2 aerial photos and you flick between the 2. You compare the roof forms in each image. If you look at the 1946 aerial and the 2009 aerial, you can see a very similar outline of the roof. It's going to be pre-1947. You've got your answer. If it's TBC and in the aerial photo, it's protected, unfortunately. Move on. If it's not in the aerial photo, that doesn't necessarily mean you're okay and you're out of jail. You need to realise that aerial photo, rumour has it, was taken in about October 1946. So there is a gap between October and December 31st, 1946, when the house could have been built and therefore when it's protected. So what I do is I then bring up the street view and I have a look at it. If it's a brick 1980s house, I've got my answer. It was built after 1946. I wouldn't take it any further. If, however, I bring it up and it's a super cute Queenslander, that's an alarm bell for me. That makes me think I need to take this one step further. I need to look in a bit more detail. So what's that next step? Next step is to get in touch with Brisbane City Council and do a search of their records. It costs maybe a couple $100. What you're looking for is the original record of when the house was built, so the original approval, or maybe a plumbing record. So when the property was connected to council's sewage system, they went around and they drew outlines of the houses. So if you've got one that dates, let's say 1940, you're okay. There's the house outline for the plumbing record, 1940. Yeah, it was built before 1946. So the thing to keep in mind, we lost a lot of our records in the 1974 floods, unfortunately, which means those records are hit and miss. They don't always exist. So you do that search, but you're not guaranteed to get the results that you need. The final step, if you still don't have your answer at that point, is to engage a heritage expert. They can come out and they can read the dwelling. It's amazing the stuff that they can do. They walk around and they look at things like timber cuts, nails, layers of paint, thickness of timber, all of those amazing things. It's incredible the stuff that they can take away, just looking at little details. So they basically walk around and work out when the house was built or when it was modified. What I'd recommend is that you pay to get them out on site to do a verbal assessment first. If that verbal assessment works to your advantage, so if they walk around and go, oh, this is a no-brainer, this is post-1947 for sure, or post-1946, I should get my terminology right, post-1946, then okay, you can engage them to do a written report. That written report then goes to the private certifier. It gives them a little bit more comfort when they issue their building approval to show that they have actually checked that it was built after 1946. If, however, the heritage expert walks through and goes, you know, that's original, that's cute, then you know, okay, it's probably not worth paying that extra money to get the written report. It's not going to give you the answer that you want. So just to recap, the first step is to check whether it's affected by the local or state subcategory within the heritage overlay. Again, I stress, heritage adjoining is not an issue. Next, you check whether it's in the pre-1911 overlay. Both of these things mean it's instantly protected. Third step, is it in the TBC or traditional building character overlay? Again, I stress, not the dwelling house character overlay. That's totally different. You can ignore that one. If it is, the final step is to check whether it was built in or before 1946. Is it a pre-1947 structure? Now, one point I forgot to mention, which I should probably cover off. If the house was built in or before 1946 and relocated to an alternate site, it's still technically protected. Most people don't realise that. So the wording within the scheme says it was built in or before 1946, not it was built in and before 1946 on that site. Unfortunately, I learnt this the hard way. Had a job out at Manly probably a few years ago, I think now. We lodged the application, went, we got evidence to show it was relocated there in 1995. We're sweet, it's not pre-1947. Yeah, council came back to me and went, sorry to say, it's protected. But if you go through those extra steps of looking at it on street view, getting the building records, potentially getting a heritage expert out, etc., you will be able to work out when it was actually built. So there you have it, the 4 steps that we go through to work out whether a house is protected. If you've liked this video, please like, comment or share below. Better still, if you've got ideas for content that you would love for me to cover off, add them below. If you see a comment from someone else that you like, an idea that you would love to hear us talk about, give them a like. The comments that have the highest number of likes will be prioritised. And that's all I think I've got to say. Until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly billy. Number 2, Brisbane Town Planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.